Okay, localisation and why we should change the system. There's a pandemic. Suddenly they're closing the borders and the world feels different. What will it come to? There's a freeze on immigration. Will there be cutbacks on imported goods as well? Feels like we're being asked to do more on a very local level. Suddenly our sense of control is reduced. Maybe that's why we've had runs on supplies of toilet paper. Fresh produce is the most vulnerable part of our basic essentials, but our supply line for lots of other things also under threat. For the last month in our local supermarkets there have been no sanitary cleaning products, only empty shelves where they belong. And when I look at the packaging I see that these simplest products are made in China. Why? These products only need high school chemistry and manufacturing. We can easily make them, but don't, because the cheapest option is the imported product. Now imports are threatened. Is there a local source available? So the retail system based on globalised supplies is coming into question. People are certainly doubting the capability of globalised capitalist retail world to work for them. And I've heard many commentators in recent times say that capitalism's on its way out, it's dying. Think of the favourite call from the climate change activists: change the system, not the climate. But to think of the reality of this change is scary. It might be an ugly system, but there is a system. It means it's a sense of order. And if we lose the system, what chaos will we see? I'm no fan of capitalism, but if it's going down, let's think hard about what will replace it. And there I have a suggestion. I'm looking at a philosophy, progressive utilisation theory, that puts localisation on the agenda, as well as offering a new way for the whole picture of economy, local and the world. More on that later, but first of all, localisation. So there's a run on various cleaning goods. There's also been a run on veggie seedlings from the shops as people act to ensure their food supply. They're getting home production going. Now that is localisation in the extreme. We could feel secure if production was in our ordinary suburban range. I only have to think back to my childhood to know that lots of food can be generated in the district. There used to be market gardens producing lots of daily essentials. There were fruit trees, stone fruit, lemons, apples. There were almonds and walnuts. The dairy was nearby, supplying fresh milk and cream, and meat was available nearby, and lots more. And for all of this, there was, of course, local employment. Yes, there's scope for a good deal of localised production of food, but our sense of taking control will not be enough to allow any relaxation unless we can feel that all basic essentials are covered. Let's start with food and clothing and shelter. Can we localise all of this? As I think of childhood, I note the significant part that domestic economy played, the way women would sew and knit for clothing needs, and as far as shelter goes, building, we had local sources for bricks and cement made from local limestone quarries, some timber, roofing, tiling, fencing and more. And much of this can be remobilised and modernised as well. Is there any forerunner to learn from? About late 1960s, there's a strong anti-capitalist movement that seriously disrupted many parts of the world, notably Paris and San Francisco were brought to their knees. Another direction emerged. The emergence of hippie culture allowed a different approach, not just to change the system, but make a new one. And it spawned an interesting experimental way. Instead of trying to change the system, they went to making that new parallel system. The settlement pattern was to be the commune, which gathered people together. They tilled the soil and generated produce to feed the members, and all were to be of equal status. Many communes were made and many more were dreamed of, but there was no great success from this initiative. It takes more than food to satisfy those basic needs. So redesigning the economy needs a lot of thought. It needs good design. And that is where the progressive utilisation theory comes in. progressive utilisation theory. I'll refer to it with its acronym PROUT. Prout suggests the basic essentials have to include food, clothing, shelter, medical care and education. And the commune movement showed that an economic unit can be too small. At the same time, the disruption we are finding in the mainstream economy today shows that the economic unit can be too big. What then is the best size? Prout suggests that much can be done in local districts. Think of the space you move in with familiarity. Where's the local shops and where are the schools and the medical centres? For me, in a suburb of a medium-sized city, it's all available within 5 or 10 kilometres from home. Now that's just about the size of the local municipality, and it matches Prout's recommended size. Prout speaks of local blocks of about 100,000 people. So the block even now has access to the basic essentials that we would consume, but it can be reshaped to become a producer of many of these basics. As I've said before, many foods can be produced, some clothing, much of the needed building materials, as well as the facilities for local needs of education and medical care. Now, Prout believes an egalitarian spirit can prevail and sees the block as a vibrant element of a dynamic socio-economic administration. Prout would make cooperatives the main business structure for the economy. It would make a strong ecological approach and shape agriculture to that stance. It would guarantee basic needs for everyone and make it available by making employment for all. Now, the society has many needs beyond the basic necessities, and to facilitate their supply, the blocks have to be embedded in regions and in states and in nations and on up to the global level. Prout provides guidance about how they should be structured and deals with many more aspects that are part of the whole economy. Think of electricity, water, communications, international links and airlines and the like. And of course the whole picture of economics and its accompanying social and political outlook is vast. But I can only recommend that everyone would do well to look further into this beacon of hope for our world going into the future.